Hello guys, welcome back to Humble Billings. This is the Honest Recruitment Podcast. Today we have the one and only Matthew Eley. How are you doing, pal?
All good.
Yeah, all good. Now, Matthew Eley obviously works for, Hire Group, but you started Elite Search Partners last year.
Yeah, November last year.
Very interesting. So, Matthew Eley is, in my opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinions, probably the best recruiter that, I personally ever come across. You're very consultative. You're a whole approach of your processes, very different to typical recruitment, and we'll dive into that very shortly. So, Matthew Eley, founder and MD of Elite Search, profound Hire Group top biller as well. I think you've won many awards, and a very dear friend of mine as well. So it's quite a great podcast to be on, right? How are you getting on anyway? You all right?
Yeah, all good.
Busy day. It's been Gay Pride Day in the office, isn't it?
Hectic week. Hectic month in general. It's just, life is busy at the moment. The recruitment market's picking back up again. So, that's
good, mate. That's what I think the market's fluctuating a lot, isn't it? And I think you've probably seen that as well firsthand because you have done Contingent and now a bit of Retained. So we'll dive into that as well, which is quite interesting. As always, we brought on the guest's favourite beverage, which is today red wine, Jam Shed to be exact. We're drinking out Prosecco bottles as well, so glasses, not bottles, but it might as well be a bottle because it tastes nice, mate.
Very nice red.
It actually tastes nicer
out. Quite surprised.
Yeah, out of the Prosecco glass, it tastes nicer than the wine glass, I think. Anyway, diving into it as always. We're going to sort of wind back the clock, Matthew. I swear calling you Matthew. I'm going to call you Eley because that's what I do call it. Yeah. So, let's wind back the clock, right? Starting in Recruitment London in 2020.
Yeah.
Before that, then, how did you end up in recruitment?
So, I went to Nottingham Trent Uni, basically did a marketing degree there, and then as I was leaving uni and graduating, got approached by two companies, so Gravitas and Harnham.
Okay.
Obviously both London recruitment firms who you'll know well, doing what you do. I had no idea what recruitment was, what it was about. I ended up going through those processes to offer stage, and then COVID hit. Obviously we went into lockdown. As soon as we went into lockdown, nobody was hiring anymore. So the offers got rescinded, basically. They were just like, we're on a hiring freeze now for the next year and a half until the pandemic gets better. But at that point I had my heart set on recruitment, so basically I was just looking online. I wanted to move back to Liverpool because I did a placement year for Liverpool FC.
Yeah, I've seen that on your LinkedIn. So are you a Liverpool fan yourself? You're not, are you?
Am I out?
Yeah, like Coventry, aren't you?
Unfortunately.
I'm about to say, I don't know what's worse for me being a Manchester United fan. I think I prefer to be a Coventry fan. Yeah, that's why I'm your friend, actually.
Well, I was going to say, Coventry fans are few and far between, aren't they? You'll struggle to find one somewhere else. Yeah. But no, obviously, I basically fell in love with Liverpool as a city when I did a placement year there. Wanted to move back and came across Artois London. Joined them, stayed there for about, I think it was like 10, 11 weeks. That didn't work out. But it's just, recruitment was one of those markets where it's like, one of the industries. What you put in, you get out at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, just fell in love with it from there.
So, like, talking about your degree then, like, what was the actual degree you did?
So it was marketing.
You got a first class, didn't you?
Yeah, just about. Scraped it. Nice. Absolutely scraped it.
How do you think that sort of transfers over to recruitment then? Because obviously not a lot of people sort of go, not a lot of people go to school, university, and, in the forefront of mind that I'm going to be a recruiter.
Well, that's the thing, like marketing, I had my heart set on doing marketing. I didn't think I was going to do anything else. I absolutely loved it and still do, but it's massively transferable to recruitment because at the end of the day, when you're a recruiter, you're a fucking great example of this, by the way. It's all about a personal brand, building a network, building yourself into a well-known name in the market. And essentially, if you've got a marketing degree, which I do, it ties in very, very well. Even when it comes to little things like job ads, LinkedIn presence, like it all, massively transferable.
Yeah, I can see that, to be fair, actually, because like you said, I think the world of marketing itself is all about just branding, isn't it? And it's all about getting stuff out there and actually getting engagement.
Yeah.
How do you find that then in your market? Like, obviously we'll dive into what it is you're doing, but just briefly touch up on like the marketing side, because I mean, to my opinion, like LinkedIn isn't your main tool, or is it?
Not at all. Well, with my market, it's all about headhunting and being very specific with who you go after, rather than essentially posting loads of job ads on LinkedIn, posting personal posts. That doesn't go down well in my market. However, if you put a very insightful market research report out, for example, that goes down very well. It's all about being analytical and being data driven in my market.
And thorough.
Yeah, exactly.
Precise.
Detail orientated as a whole.
It really is.
So,
and, you know, I've sort of watched you from afar, and, you know, the sort of market that you do compared to mine, you must look at me and think, look at this monkey. Like, you know.
Well, that's the thing, that in your market, you can get away with being a bit almost risky.
Yes.
And off the cuff, you can do a post that's going to be controversial. Like, that's absolutely fine. And if anything, that's great for your brand in the grad market. If I do that in my market and I post something that's a bit controversial, that's a big no-go. Like a massive
Gonna lose some
no-go.
big clients.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. My market's all about being prim, proper, professional, and just very polished as a whole.
It is. And to be fair, there's probably a lot of people at home who do the exact search market themselves. So it'd be very interesting and quite insightful for them as well to listen to yourself now, who is absolutely killing it, by the way, in your market, and always have been. As far as I've been in recruitment, like everyone's always said, Matthew Eley is the best recruiter, and I've seen it firsthand. There's a few things I want to touch up on actually as well, which will be, you know, come later on in the podcast. And one of them was about like sort of when you sort of you know, come across counter offers, or you don't sell against other businesses, and all these things which actually quite a lot of recruiters will do. But yeah, we'll dive into that later anyway, guys. So talk to me how you come across the exec search market then, because when you did R2R in London, what were you doing there?
So R2R London, I was doing London Tech Senior.
Right, okay. So it was always that high caliber seniority roles.
Like, it wasn't still like director level at R2R London. It was salaries from say 30 to 50, 60k. That's what I was doing at R2R London. The way that I came across the exec search market was actually down to a man called Lawrence Ashby, who I know won't mind me saying this because I sent a couple of bottles of wine to him a couple of months ago. Yeah. But basically, I was starting to recruit for directors in London for Hire Group. Yeah. Because I just wasn't getting on with that almost lower and senior level contingent work. I didn't like it because people are very unreliable, to say the least. They are unreliable, they are unpredictable, and especially at that 3 to 5 year level, they kind of just do what they want and they think they're dog's bollocks, don't they? They just, But every time I spoke to a director or a managing director, for whatever reason, I got on with them.
On a personable level. Yeah.
It was, I don't know why, but like we always just connected very, very well. So started building out that market, and a guy called Lawrence Ashby basically applied to my job ad for a director contingent position in London. Looked at his CV and he bills $1 million a year doing data, tech, into, well, like CIO, CTO, CPO roles into massive firms in London. He's on like 100 and whatever base. Bear in mind, my job ad was 100k base, like, managing a team of whatever. I looked at his CV and I was like, who the hell are you?
Yeah, who is this guy?
And what do you do? So I spoke to him, and I basically said to him on the phone, I was like, I have no idea what you do. I have no roles for you. You're too senior, too good for this role. And he just told me everything about exec search, right? Just went through everything, start to finish, what it was like, how he got to where he is. And it was amazing to hear and fascinating. But as soon as I had that call, immediately after that, I was like, right, I want to build this.
Wow. So it's like a light bulb moment.
Massively. So I went to Matt Sullivan, obviously our MD, and I said, look, give me a month. I want to try and build this. And he was just like, right, yeah, go for it. Obviously, you know what Matt's like. Yeah. He'll just let you do. If somebody's ambitious and wants to have a try at something, he'll let you fucking do it, won't he? Yeah. So, went out, basically, and Lawrence, again, won't mind me saying this, blind spec'd his profile out to God knows how many businesses, and got through the door. And he also told me who he was interviewing with, started mapping out the market, and yeah, the rest is history.
Wow. Yeah, so it sort of, in a way, fell on your lap. And I like the fact that you were in the R2R London as well. I know you're saying it's not as senior as the exec search market, but, you know, them salaries up to 60, 80K. It's more than salaries I do from, you know, up to 30K, for example. So the market in general for yourself is very slow compared to mine. I mean, your processes will last up to...
Well, I mean, some last a year.
Some last a year, yeah.
It just depends on the business, but... I mean, the average is probably 3-4 months.
Right.
6 months for somebody who's managing partner level. But then some, if they're particularly senior and it's a very high priority position, they can last a year. So
I don't have the patience for that, right? So do you think that a certain type of person can only do exec search?
Yes.
Yes. To put it plain.
Yes is probably the answer, because... you have to be very, patient. Yeah. As you said, you have to be patient. You have to be able to... Actually, the best way to explain it is search is like a game of chess. You have to be very detail-orientated. You have to pay attention to the other person's moves. You have to be prepared to play that long game. If you're not and you're impatient, you won't do well. You just won't. It's a fact.
Yeah, and that's it. Again, it comes back to the patient side of things. I'm just trying to, for everyone at home, like, you know, I can do a deal. I can do a process within a day. I can pick up a graduate and get them a deal and a job offer within a day. And I think that I'm conditioned to work for these quick wins. You know, I'm hitting the gong every other couple of days. And like, you know, for you guys, I remember there was a discussion within the office about, you know, some of the people who do the exec search market were actually getting almost a bit like deflated or, you know, sort of demotivated because the grad team are banging the gong every other week.
Exactly. And that's the thing with the grad team or even the senior team.
Yeah.
People are going to be doing deals after a week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever. So you're banging the gong every 5 minutes because you're not bad at what you do. But people in search, whenever I've hired into my team, if they're junior, they're green, they're new to recruitment, and they're watching people bang the gong every 5 minutes, and they're sat there wanting that moment of glory, that is demotivating to them, which is why when I hire, I have to hire a very specific type of person and essentially just prepare them for that. Yeah. And then that's what's going to happen. They have to play a long game.
I suppose there's two sides to every sword. Don't know if that's a saying, but it sounds good. It should be.
It does sound good.
It does sound good. We'll roll with it. There's two sides to every sword, and it works so, you know, I might hit the gong every couple of days, but then you'll hit the gong, and then do a deal that takes me, you know, a quarter to even bill, and that's the difference, isn't it, in terms of the characteristics, I think, of the individual who actually works in that market. I couldn't do exec search, and I'm proud to say that openly and honestly. Yeah. And I think as well, when people see the deals coming in at the size that you guys bill at, I think that, you know, we openly talked about this before. There is people who have approached you like, I think I want to do search.
Loads of people have, and loads of people have come internally, joined the search team, and then gone back a few months later.
Very true,
won't say who they are. But loads of people have done it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, there's not. But it takes, like you said, a very specific type of person to have that patience. One person I actually will speak about is Fraser. Yeah. So he joined, always wanted to do search, obviously seeing the big 60, 70, 80K deals. Joined, wasn't getting on with it, went back. But since he's gone back to the Manchester Experience team, he's had a 60K and a 50K deal come in since he's left. Yeah. But that's the thing, you have to be patient and wait for it.
Stick it out.
Exactly.
Yeah, not for me. It's not for me, but it's very interesting, and like, again, just to see how your brain function sort of differentiates from someone like myself, and the thorough processes and the patience. It is quite inspiring, and I do idolize it as well. So yeah, talking into detail then about the exec search market, when you were doing that for High Group, what then made you set up Elite Search Partners? Because obviously you founded and now are managing director of that business, which is a sort of a sister company to High Group as well, isn't it?
Well, exactly. But essentially, for High Group, we work contingent, fast-paced, everything's at the partner level. But it's a case where some clients want that more premium service line, a more premium, essentially just offering in general. And everybody that we place is a retained search partner. They're working 100% retained, average fee 75 to 100k. And the difference between retained and contingent is, with contingent, let's say you pick somebody up who bills $1 million a year, we can put them into 4, 5, 6 businesses comfortably, put them in, get them in a load of different processes. But then obviously you're going to piss off your clients. When they place at one of them, the other 5 clients are pissed off. With retained, it's a case where they're exclusive to that business. You put them in, focus on that one process, and it's just a lot more detail orientated as a whole.
And accurate as well, isn't it? Yeah.
It's all about accuracy. It's all about just being really, really on the money. It's a much longer process, don't get me wrong. Like, it is. It's a lot longer.
The retained is, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot longer, but it does pay off, and the fees typically are bigger as well.
Yeah. So how have you found that then? Because are you still plugging into contingent stuff at the moment, or is it strictly retained?
So I'm doing both.
Okay.
So both has their upsides and downsides, like they do. The contingent, to be honest, is more fun. If I'm being brutally honest, it is. You go out, you're aggressive, you pick up 2, 3, 4 very strong candidates, and then you just take them to market and get them into a load of different places.
Yeah.
With retained, it's a lot slower. And as you know from knowing me as a friend as much as a colleague, I can't sit still for 5 minutes. I can't. I have to be out doing something and just going out and being aggressive with literally everything. So it's a case where at the moment what we're doing is we work retained with our key clients who have a priority hire. So let's say you've got a European firm who want to open Germany. We'll go retained for the managing partner for Germany, do a really thorough process, and then find the perfect person. Whereas when we've got a client who wants to make multiple partner hires across a variety of places, we'll do it contingent and just get a load of people in front of them. So that's how we work at the moment.
Yeah, and again, it's very interesting. Like so let's go into then like Elite Search at the moment. What's your vision of the business? And that's just a personal question for me. I'm intrigued generally. Like again, I look up to you. You know, you've basically founded and you're managing, directing your own business within Hire Group. Like you know, that's amazing. So yeah, what's your vision there?
So my vision is quality over quantity. To be honest, there's a lot of firms that just want scale. Get the heads up as much as possible, grow as quick as possible, but I don't want that for Elite, to be honest. I want to work with a select group of clients and service them very well, make sure that the service is perfect, premium, and that we are only getting them basically the perfect candidate every single time, and they're happy with the service every single time. I probably don't want Elite, to be honest, to be more than 10, 20 heads.
Yeah.
And that's probably surprising to a lot of people. But I don't want to scale the business to a point where it gets scrappy and people are competing for work.
Yeah.
That's not my vision at all.
Yeah. And I think as well, that close-knit vibe as well actually probably influences your business in a positive way.
Exactly.
Because, you know, and I know that you find this a bit of a problem as well. And I do as well, actually. So when you have a relationship with a client, it's very hard to get one of your trainees, one of your peer colleagues to then do business with that client as well, because you almost own that account.
Yeah.
And I know that that's a thing in search, I assume, where, you know, if you have a 50-head search firm and you probably have to have quite a lot of delivery consultants underneath you. Yeah.
And that's the thing, like when you have a business where you've got a large head count and you've got everybody working the same account, you're inevitably going to piss the client off.
Yeah.
You are, because people are going to be sending profiles in day after day. Some of them aren't going to be quite right. And pretty much all of my clients have said, look, can you just be the account manager? Can we just do everything through you and just make sure it's all clean? Like, we have lost clients before from that. Like, we have.
Yeah.
So we're trying.
I love
to
the honesty as well, and you learn from that as well. Like I said, you're 24,
25,
25.
25. Yeah.
Fucking hell, bro.
I know, you didn't come to my birthday party, did you?
I did. I was there.
You did. For about 10 minutes.
Yeah, for about 10 minutes. Show my face, smile and wave, and get off. Okay, cool. Let's like talk into the fluffy stuff then, the exciting stuff. You know, exec search. It's a very, very, very well. Only a select few of people can do that market, and only a select few of people can perform well and achieve big in that market. So diving into them successes, right? Talk to me. I mean, I've seen on LinkedIn there's been articles made about you from your clients, and what was that about?
So I've had a few just from like marquee placements that we've done recently. Managing partners and partners in, essentially European countries where they're launching an office.
But this was like a news article, wasn't it? It was like,
I know.
It's cool as fuck, bro.
Yeah,
I must admit, it's cool.
I did love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice having those articles. But the funny thing is, when you have an article like that, it alerts the competition.
Interesting.
To what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I know for a fact that one of my biggest competitors, as soon as they saw one of the press releases, they went after that client, signed them on. So
watch out, they're watching.
Yeah.
They are, yeah.
They will be watching, I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Smile and wave, smile and wave. So, cool. It's, again, like, that's why I idolize you. You just, I think you're very impressive as an individual. I think you're disciplined as well, which is one of the main things which I believe is one of the outcomes of your successes. I think the process in general, the resilience, the patience to having that outcome. And I remember speaking to Matt Sullivan, again, RMD, and I was sort of like, right, I need to do some BD. Who can I talk to? Matthew Eley. Right, I need to do some outreach training. Who can I talk to? I need to do some candidate qualifying. Matthew Eley. Everything was like, bloody hell, Matthew Eley's great at everything. So diving sort of like into that, like one of the things which I wasn't taught this, but naturally when you have a candidate who is in process, right, and they may have, a job offer elsewhere, naturally, if I'm not working with that client that they have a job offer from, I'm going to sort of try and sell against that business.
Yeah.
And I remember speaking to you,
Yeah.
and it was on a night out, weirdly enough. Business.
Shocker.
Yeah, shocker, literally. All we do is talk about work. It's great, though. And I remember you saying to me, you almost like hit me on the back of the head. Like I almost got a clip round the ear. Like you were fuming. I could see it in your eyes. And you were like, I can't believe you're selling against other businesses. And I was like, what? What do you mean? And then you sort of went on to say the following, didn't you?
If you sell against other businesses, just as a whole, excuse my language, but you're a fucking idiot. Like you are.
Mm-hmm.
If you sell against another business, it literally, all it shows to that candidate is that you're trying to get a deal out of them.
Desperate.
That's all it does. So I will never sell against another business. So the best example I can use of this was I had a process where basically was placing a partner into one of my clients and they had one other process through a different rec to rec. Now, when my candidate said, I'm going to join the business that was through me, the other rec to rec immediately came and said to the candidate, they were just like, that business, they're shit. Their MD, he's this, he's that. They're absolutely awful. And the candidate came back to me and he literally said, the fact that he has slagged them off so much says everything I need to know.
Yeah.
That he's just trying to get a deal. And it, frankly, it just pissed that candidate off. It really annoyed him. So that's the thing. If you sell against another business, just generally.
Do you think you could give us an example then? Because like, what would your approach be in that situation? Would it be, okay, so you have that job offer, but I'm pretty confident that I will have an opportunity that's better? Or what would your sort of approach be?
So what you do is you drill it down and you break down what they want and what they don't want. So why they leaving their current firm?
Yeah, pain points.
Why do they want to, like, what do they want from their new firm? And you break down everything. And then what you do is you pick your firm, the one that you've got them in with, and you essentially match all of the things that they have to what the candidate wants.
Yeah.
You look at the negative side of things, why they're leaving. You go to that other like business that they're with, and you don't need to go and say, oh, they've got a terrible culture, oh, their bonus structure's crap.
High attrition rate.
But what you do is you just focus on the fact that your client is better at this, and that. You never say a bad word about the other business. If you do that, you are an idiot.
Yeah.
Just fact.
But since that advice, I've found a lot of success as well doing it.
Really?
Honestly, like, and it was something that, you know, I didn't do a lot, but like naturally, you know, just sort of, I felt inclined to do that. Like naturally, I'd be, you know, on LinkedIn Insights, I'd be looking at attrition rate, churn. I'd be like looking at.
It's all about being detail orientated. And actually putting the work in. Like what people don't think about in recruitment is that you're making a 5-6 grand fee or a 20-30 grand or a 60-70 grand fee from that placement, and people almost take that fee for granted. Sometimes they do.
Yeah, they do.
They think that they deserve it because of whatever reason, but actually put the work in to get that fee. When you're closing a deal, go and look at all of the insights, all of the stats, like you were just saying then. And just make an effort, break it all down.
It is, and it's just down to the research driven. And I suppose actually, I don't know if it's just part of the name, but exec search. I mean, research, search. Like it is all about being search orientated, isn't it?
But it is, and the thing is, in exec search as a market as a whole, firms will spend months on the research side of things. They will spend months putting together a long list, going through every company, every competitor. And that's why they have researchers to do that full time.
Yeah.
It's all about being detail orientated and just actually putting the work in, putting the effort in.
And putting the effort in. So talking about they do say hard work pays off, right? And like there is no doubt in my mind that you are the hardest worker that I've ever come across. I truly honestly believe that. Like this man lives and breathes recruitment. Like I remember Matthew.
It's actually quite bad sometimes.
But you know, you're doing very well. I mean, I've been to many of your flats before, and the one you're in now as a 25-year-old man, it's what I dream of, you know. And yeah, I mean, you know, just like idolizing you as an individual and you committing to the longevity of your market, there is a lot of rewards at the end, right? That tend to be a lot higher than markets like myself. So I don't know if there's something you're comfortable sharing with, but like say for example, like the highest deal you've ever done, like what would that look like?
So the biggest deal I ever did was just under 100 grand. And it literally happened on a company trip, which was the best part of it.
Which trip?
Ski trip.
Was the one that I was on?
Were you on that one?
I was on the one last year. The one before that I wasn't in the business.
The one before. But that's the thing. The best part of this story is that we got to the ski trip.
Yeah.
First day, I thought myself to be a great skier. And I was giving it all the fucking big un and whatnot. Went the whole day, absolutely fine. Had a few too many beers in Après.
As you do, yeah.
As I do. As you know me well.
Yeah.
Had a few too many. And then last slope coming back from Après, a girl called Danny at work, who you know well.
Yeah.
He's an absolute twat for this, by the way. But she challenged me to a race. So we were racing down the last slope. I basically stacked it, landed on my shoulder, slid down the slope.
Yeah.
End up going to the medical tent. So I dislocated my shoulder.
Fuck. I heard this story,
two ribs.
Two ribs?
Yeah, it wasn't good. It was not good.
So you're in a bad place, yeah.
Oh, I was in a world of pain. And I had insurance, but apparently it didn't cover when you're an idiot skiing. For whatever,
when you're an idiot.
Whatever
that should be a thing, yeah. Insurance doesn't cover you when you're an idiot.
Apparently not. But I went back to my room with literally a sheet from a bed as a sling. Went back, and then the deal came in. I saw the offer. I was like, fucking hell.
That'll make me happy,
That's a lot of money between base, sign up, like everything. Looked through it, rang the candidate. He was like, yeah, happy to accept on the spot. And I was just like, literally got my calculator on my phone out. Was working through all the numbers, and I was like, oh, so it's about 60k. Put it in the chat. Everyone was like, oh my god. Like, bear in mind the record deal before that was about 25k. Everyone was like, fucking hell. And then I actually looked
Who's this alien?
I looked through the numbers again, and it was like 96k. And I was like, yeah, this is very good.
It's a nice month for you then, the following, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was lovely.
How long did you... Sorry, just a genuine question for myself again. So your processes take, 6 months at times, like up to a year. How long then is the start date after that?
Usually 3 to 6 months.
So you even have to wait again to get your money.
Well, I placed somebody about a week ago in Singapore, and he's got, I think, a 5 month notice. So he's not starting until like Feb next year.
Yeah, so it's just like, but that's the consistency as well, isn't it? And the discipline, and the tunnel vision that you have.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, if you keep working and you keep stacking up those deals one on top of the other, it all just comes in long term.
Do you know? So this is again just for like your market, my market, any fucking market in recruitment, right? So when do you really think you started seeing the benefits of recruitment, like financially? Because for me, there's a lot of like advertisements, 100k in your first year, like you're gonna be rich, you're gonna be a millionaire within a year.
That 100k in your first year is bollocks.
It is bollocks, absolute bollocks. Yeah, straight facts.
Unless you're an absolute freak of nature, it is bollocks. But
I mean, on average though, you're looking between 40, 60, right?
I was going to say, about 40. If you're good and you work for it, you can make 40, 50 grand your first year.
100%.
Quite easily. But I mean, I started seeing the benefits of it probably 1.5 to 2 years.
Into the job. And that's
what
I mean. So I'm now a year and 8 months, and it's like, I'm seeing the benefits in it. I'm dressing nicer. I'm brushing my teeth. I always brush my teeth. I'm joking, but I did. I know. I did the podcast last week with Leisha Holmes, and she was like, "Who the fuck are you?" Like, because I've not met her before, but I have a beard in my. I've had a beard for as long as I know. My mum was shocked as well, but
I couldn't believe it when I saw it on the Monday.
I know.
I genuinely thought that
I had a bum chin. I was pissed off. Yeah, I found out I had a bum chin. Like, apparently,
it's going back quick.
Yeah, my missus says she likes it. Apparently, it's attractive, so I'll roll with it.
I've spent literally 25 years trying to grow this, and it's still like that.
But I'll borrow some of mine, mate, if you want.
I'd love to.
Yeah. Okay, so diving on to the next one. We've talked a little bit about successes. I want to actually go into more about the successes. We talked about the deal. I want to talk more about actual recruitment in general, right? So we're talking briefly then about sort of, it taking 2 years really to start to see the outcomes and the financial rewards of recruitment. What would you say is like the number one thing now where you can really see your life change? Think back to Matthew Eley when you were working at Liverpool. Yeah. When you were doing your marketing degree, probably a couple inches smaller. What were you doing?
I don't think I can get smaller, mate. But, the thing is, when you're successful in recruitment, it's about freedom for me. Like, my biggest motivation has always been to have financial freedom, not having to live paycheck to paycheck and just hope that like I can get by. It's always been about, if I want to do something, I just do it, and I don't have to worry about the financial side. That's what I can do now, which is nice. So
we briefly talked about like holidays for your mum.
Yeah.
A surprise or something. What was that story?
So my mum's
big up mum, by the way.
I was going to say, this red wine, I'll dedicate that to you, mum, because cheers
to Ely's mum.
She got me into red wine. She'll have one glass of this and be under the table, passed out.
Bit like you then.
I've got through 2.
I know, yeah, you're doing all right, yeah. Go on.
But I think my mum's number one bucket list thing her whole life has been to see Northern Lights.
Oh, wow.
So when I started making money, and like my parents knew that I was making money, I was like, right, I can actually let me rewind it a bit. My mum's birthdays when I was a kid, I would steal food from my dad's cupboard. Bear in mind they're divorced as well. Sorry, mum and dad. Yeah. I'd literally take cakes out because my mum loves cakes, and put it in a bag and give it to my mum for Mother's Day and for her birthday.
Oh,
which is fucking embarrassing.
It's like, cute though. Yeah.
And my mum would say, "Where have you got these from?" Is it from your dad's? And I'd be like, "No, definitely not."
Definitely not. Yeah.
But so when I started actually making money, I was like, I want to treat my mum. Like, she's looked after me.
It's better than second-hand cakes. Yeah.
Like, yes, exactly. They were cheap cakes as well. So I basically just booked to go to Norway, a place called Tromsø, to see the Northern Lights. And that was one of the most rewarding things that I've done in my life, without a doubt. Just being able to do that for my mum was amazing. And we went and we saw the Northern Lights, and she was over the moon. We argued God knows how many times in the airport. She just had surgery at the time now, so she was in a wheelchair, and we got to have priority access through the airports, which was lovely.
Yeah.
And she'll attest to that. But just being able to do things like that without worrying about money is what it's all about for me.
It is.
It is.
But that's what I mean. Like, I want people at home to really understand that recruitment is a long game. Like, I'm not going to say I was missold, but like, I had a career set up as a teacher. My mum's pride and joy. She was so fucking proud, telling everyone that I worked in a school. And when I was saying I'm getting into recruitment, she was like, why? Obviously, my old man did it. And then I honestly thought that I would be a fucking millionaire within a year. Like, I honestly thought... Well, you got to remember, I hold the record for the quickest deal, don't I, in higher group, right? It was like my fifth day on the job.
Not bad effort.
But again, it's the market, and I'm not going to lie, like, it was no skill or like fucking talent. It was just like the candidate fell on my lap, the client was there.
But it happens like that sometimes.
And it was Holden that actually went, send him there. Like, I didn't really do anything. It was just like, I had to obviously manage the process, but... Yeah, and I genuinely was like, fucking hell, 50 on the job, and I've done a 5k deal. Like, in my mind, I'm like, what? So I've made what, like $1,500 for that? Like, I've made $1,500 in a week in my first ever job, since working in a school for 4 years, when I'm actually getting less than that in a month. And I honestly was like calculating in my head. So if I do $1,500 a week, what's that, like $5,000 a month? Like, fucking hell, I'm gonna be like, by the time I'm a year in, I'm gonna be killing it. And I think. It's not like that. It's not like, you get dropouts. There's a lot of there's a lot of negatives that come into the process of recruitment. So the sort of question I have for you is like, how do you manage that? How do you actually manage? Because when I have a dropout, I'm like, fuck, I can see the money like fucking going through my fingers. Like, what's your advice there?
So with a dropout, like, it does hurt everybody when it happens, especially in the short term. Like, it does. But you just have to realise that you can't do fucking anything about it. Like, you can't do anything about a dropout. You can't. So just move on. Yeah. So that's my advice on that.
But then, do you genuinely never... Because, like, fucking hell, bro. Like, you're, 80 grand in the bank. Say you're working on... I'm not sure what commission structure you're on, but if you're on anything above 30, 40, like, it's a fucking lot of money. Yeah. Do you never just think, fucking hell, there's like 15 grand down the bank, down the sink, not in the bank?
At first, yes, it hurts. Yeah, and it's not ideal, and like it does. You just think, oh, I've lost this. But what you should think is, actually, I've not lost anything because they haven't started yet. Yeah, true. You haven't like made the money. It's worse when you have to give the money back. So say somebody leaves in their second month in a 3-month rebate and it's 100%, that's a lot worse than if somebody just doesn't start.
Yeah, that is true, because like when they start and they leave, but then again, I like with your sort of accuracy driven market and your accuracy driven process, like I can assume you don't get a lot of dropouts, whereas I do. So
one piece of advice I'd give to any new recruiter: don't be transactional. Just don't think about the money. Think about the process. Think about the person, getting them the job. If you start thinking about the money and just focus on that, you will do a worse job for a fact. Like, you just will. You want to focus on that person, getting to know them. And also, even if somebody, let's say they take another job that isn't in your process, you never know when that person going to be valuable to you long term. Like, I've got a client now where I basically got them to an offer. It was going to be like a 90 odd K fee. They turned down the offer, stayed at their current place, and then what happened 3 months later, after keeping in touch with her, she was like, I need you to find me this. If most recruiters will be pissed off and upset that person's not took that job, and you can't be like that.
That's it. You can't, like, there's no like ifs, no's or buts. It's like, yeah, I agree. What would you say like one of your biggest challenges is? So, you're in your 20s, you work in a market where typically the people are in their 40s, 50s.
Yeah.
How do you find that? Like, how do you find speaking with them individuals?
It's always been hard because basically people have a stigma against people my age in this market. Like, they do.
People your age have a stigma for people.
They do, because like, this market is literally full of people who are 40, 50, 60 years old. So when they have a 25-year-old coming in and basically giving them advice, they're like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah, I've been there, done that. Yeah.
Exactly. But as long as you show your market knowledge, do you actually know what you're talking about, you can connect with them and you can do well.
So how do you find like the personal factor then? Because you even mentioned when you first had that call with that individual who introduced you to the exec search market, you actually found you getting along more with the people in that age bracket compared to, people in the 30s, 20s or 30s, for example. Do you think that's because, senior recruiters or, principal recruiters, they are quite egotistical.
They're cocky.
Like
they are.
They are, mate. There's a lot of fucking big egos in recruitment. And do you think when you get to that caliber and you're in that partner bracket in the exec search function, do you think that, like, they're a bit more humble?
They are. Like, when you get that senior, you remove all the bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, you do. You're just focused on what you're doing a good job. You don't have an ego. You've got nothing to prove. So you just crack on and do your job.
Yeah. So, and there's nothing more to that.
No, exactly.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. I think as well, like, you actually look at the old school and the new school, and it goes into like the Gen Z stuff. And I actually look up to a lot of my like senior peers. Like, even like my granddad and stuff, like the morals and values that they have as people.
Yeah.
They're very gentleman-like, and I don't know if it's just like social media or what, but there is a lot of cocky fucking shits, isn't there, in recruitment?
Like, it's not just recruitment though. Like, it's literally any market.
Any job.
There's a lot of cocky arseholes just anywhere trying to do one better. And frankly, when I started in recruitment, I was a cocky twat.
Yeah, I still am. Yeah,
I know. I'm well aware. But you grow out of it.
Yeah.
The longer that you do it and the more experience you get, you realise that you don't gain anything from being cocky at all. You just make yourself look like an idiot.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And idiots don't pay for insurance.
They don't.
Insurance don't pay for idiots. So yeah, look, like, we were talking about in the last podcast I did with Alicia Holmes. We're discussing about the latter part of our job title, which is consultant, right? People just forget that we're recruitment consultants and just think we're recruiters. And obviously that's nothing compared to the market you do. Like, people in my market, not myself, but a lot of cowboy recruiters will just spray and throw CVs and hope something sticks. With your market being very consultative and that sort of approach and advisory style of working, like, how do you find that? How do you find the element of being more consultative? Like,
you have to be consultative just as a recruitment consultant as a whole. It doesn't matter what market, like whether it's yours, whether it's mine, whether it's work in the Singapore market, it doesn't matter. If you're going to go a long way and do well in recruitment, you have to offer more than just a job. You have to say, this is my advice on this. This is my guidance on this. This is how you progress to the next level. You can't just be a transactional, essentially just recruiter by just putting somebody into a job, because when you do that, you literally make them feel like a product. That's how they feel.
Yeah. And it's a human life that you're dealing with as well.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, like some people, I've spoke to recruiters, and like you said, when they're focusing on that transactional side and actually not thinking about the human life that you're working with, and essentially, ultimately, you're fucking trying to get them a better job.
Yeah. And,
benefit them. And when people are transactional and they're thinking of the fees, it definitely sort of bites them in the arse in the long run. So, yeah, in terms of like the consultative approach, that's something, again, that I'm really trying to sort of upskill on.
Yeah.
Because even clients that you work with as well, it's not even just on candidate side, like the client side as well. Like when they sniff that you are transactional, that you are just in it for the money, they don't care.
They don't, do they?
Yeah. There's so much competition, and this is what I mean. Like what you have done with Elite and what you've done with Hire Group and all the other competition in the whole of the UK, and like you said, you're building out the Asia market, aren't you, at the moment as well?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of competition, and you have really fucking knuckled down. So yeah, interesting. What about the Asia market? How are you finding that?
Loving it. To be honest. So the reason I started building the Asia market was because the UK economy was down. So was the US. All these economies were in a downturn, but we tracked the stock exchanges, and Asia was stable and actually growing during the downturn. So started building that out, and what I found is that frankly there's no search. There's no rec to recs in Asia right now. So it was nice to just go in and basically capture the market straight away. But it's a fascinating market. It's a very small market right now compared to EMEA and the US, but it's going to be massive soon, without a doubt.
Yeah, and do you know that through your own research?
Yeah. Through research, but also just working it for the last 6 months.
Yeah. How do you find then is there any sort of like communication barriers or?
Not at all. Like pretty much everybody speaks English.
Yeah.
But if you want to break into the Japan market, you have to speak Japanese. That's one I would say.
Yeah. Interesting. Have you been to Asia yet?
No, but I'm planning to in the next 2-3 months.
To meet clients?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm buzzing.
Yeah. Where have you been to meet clients? Because you've been New York, haven't you? You've been...
Not yet.
You're not yet? You're not been?
I've literally not been abroad yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm desperate to, but not yet.
International businessman hasn't been abroad.
I know, mate. It's pathetic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it is pathetic.
So mostly like London, because like you said, you started in London, didn't you, and expanded from there.
Well, we're going to Milan in a couple of weeks to visit a client over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, buzzing, to be honest. I'm
I love that.
To Singapore and the US pretty soon as well.
Yeah. US is interesting because, would you say in the past 2 years, I'd probably say 50% of clients that I work with are expanding to the US. Do you think maybe it's too far gone now?
In what sense? Too far gone?
I mean, in the sense of like 2 years ago, it was probably prime. Not to say it's not, but it's very different in terms of states as well. To my understanding,
you work the US market, I had a call today with a US firm, and they said, "Do you have an office in the US?" And I was like, "No, but we work the US market from the UK." And they were like, "It's not for us." You have to have
feet on the ground
presence there to be able to actually capture that market. You have to.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Like within states, within the US as well, things are very different. So do you do quite a lot of work in the US then?
So I don't personally, but my team does.
Okay.
They do absolutely loads of work there. The US is a fascinating market because it's absolutely huge, and frankly, it's easier than EMEA and APAC. It's a lot easier because, firstly, you don't have a notice period. In EMEA and APAC, I've got to wait 3 to 6 months for somebody to start. In US, they literally get the new job, resign a day later, and then start the week after, which is lovely.
So, in terms of markets, right? Contingent, retained, all the different geographical locations, combined them all, what would you say is the easiest for you and the hardest?
The easiest market for me right now is UK partners, because UK partners, I've been doing it for God knows how long, have a network there. However, if you look at APAC, the APAC market, nobody's there yet in terms of competition. So you can go basically headhunt everybody without any competition, which is nice. So
that is nice. Okay, cool. And guys, just to wrap up, 3, right? 1, 2, 3 key pieces of advice for people, young consultants within the exec search market. So imagine Matthew Eley 2-3 years ago, when you first started it. What do you wish you knew? 3 things.
Good question. 3 things. Firstly, be brave.
Be brave.
Be brave is going to be my first one, because everybody's going to put you down like they are. All of these 50, 60-year-old people are going to think that you don't know anything. So research to hell, make sure you know your shit, and then go in and be prepared to basically show them up and prove them wrong. So that's the first thing.
Put some skin in the game.
Exactly. Like people in search will test you to know if you know your shit or not.
Yeah.
They will test you. As long as you pass that test, you're in.
You're in.
If you don't, you're not.
You're not.
A second piece of advice, you've got to work fucking hard. Like you do. Just fact. You've got to graft your ass off from day one. If you don't put the hours in, you're not going to succeed. Fact.
Yeah.
Number 3. I don't know what number 3 is, to be honest. I don't know.
Could tie into the longevity side of things. I think what you just talked about then is like be prepared for it to be hard.
That's a good point, to be fair. Be prepared to play a long game.
Yeah.
Is actually what I'd say, yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Like, if you are a short-term thinker and you're impatient, don't do search. Like,
it's not
don't
for you.
bother.
Yeah.
There's no point because you won't succeed. I got my first commission check from search over a year
After starting the market.
Starting search.
Just take that in, guys.
Because
take that in.
Between starting the market, learning the market, picking up a candidate, starting a process, going the whole way through, and then their notice, and then when they start getting paid the month after, it was well over a year. You have to play the long game, or there's no point.
And that's what I mean, and to understand that on the outcome of that long game, there is such things as 100k deals, which some people are lucky to do in a single year.
Massive.
One deal, 100 grand. It's a lot of money. Yeah. I think they're 3 very, very well insightful pieces of advice. I hope everyone at home watching has found this podcast wonderful. If not, fuck off. I'm joking. Matthew Eley, everyone. Thank you. Cheers. See you later. Bye-bye.